So, welcome to the first workshop in this mini series entitled Finding the Purusha Through Balancing Poses. So, whenever I offer these workshops, it's not just about asanas, but I try to link the string of asanas with a certain concept from the scriptures. Here it is finding the Purusha through balancing poses. The reason I chose this title, that as I mentioned to you, the entire goal of yoga is to still the mind so that we are able to see what's inside. And in the yogic philosophy, as well as the Vedanta, the entire concept is that we are not the body. So, Purusha, or the Atma that lies inside, is different from this body. We're going to see that. So that is the entire concept. Why? So it may seem irrelevant. We have so many things to do. We, have to subscribe to this idea. Whole point is that if you understand the fact that we are different from the body, then this sense of detachment will give a lot of freedom. And even if things happen to the body that we don't like, the notion that we are different from the body will give a lot of peace. And it also, the entire Vedanta and the yoga philosophy says that we just go through the cycle of births and deaths. What it means is that it relieves the stress and the constraints that come along with this. So there's no one lifetime, but we have many lifetimes, and we pick up where we left. In the next series that I'm offering, the subtler dimensions of asana practice, establishing yoga, where we talk about the yogi and the destiny. There, it shows that even due to some reason, we are not able to progress on this path. In the next lifetime, we pick up. So what goes through these lifetimes, it is not the body, but it is the Purusha, or the Atma, that is inside. That is the one which goes from one body to another. So that is the concept of Purusha. So that's why I chose this. The entire yoga, as we will see, the whole goal of yoga is to still the mind so we are able to see Purusha. And you're stilling the mind through balancing poses. That's why I chose this topic. These are the contents, and as we just now discussed, there is the concept of, in yoga as well as Vedanta, there's the concept of Purusha and Prakriti, with the meaning of the word Purusha and Prakriti. Prakriti is all other things, that even the senses, the body, they're all part of Prakriti. And then there is the Purusha. In between, there's this notion called the chitta, the mind. The mind itself in yoga, not just one mind, there are different layers, aspects to the mind. We will see that too. So the Prakriti contains the body, senses, objects in the other world, other bodies, everything is part of Prakriti. And there is this entity called the mind, which is temporary. Once we die, the mind is not there. But certain aspects of the mind travel with the Purusha onto the next body. So the Purusha moving from one body to other, we just talked about it. It is talked elaborately in all the scriptures. The entire scriptures, it's about Purusha and its relationship to the Purusha Uttama, the bigger Purusha, which is the Paramatma, or the entity they call the Brahman. In Bhagavad Gita, it talks about it in great detail. Bhagavad Gita is considered it is a yoga shastra. It is one of the two important yogic texts along with the Yoga Sutras. And it is a condensed yoga, Bhagavad Gita, so Upanishads, it's considered condensation of the Upanishads. In fact, Bhagavad Krishna, he liberally quotes from all the Upanishads. He doesn't claim this as his own thing. He just says he's picking from the Upanishads and giving the essence to be. Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam. It is the knowledge of the Brahman, the all-pervading entity. Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre. He calls it the Yoga, the Shastra. It is the knowledge of the Vedas, Yoga Shastre. These are different names. So in the Bhagavad Gita, there is one shloka where I will chant this shloka and I will tell the meaning. It talks about how this Purusha goes from body to body. Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantara praptihi dhirastatra muhyati. This is how it is chanted. Dehi, the embodied Dehi. So Dehi literally means what is in the Deham, which is the body. It's the embodied entity, the Purusha. Just as the embodied entity goes through the phases of Kaumaram, childhood, Yavanam, youth, and old age, body, just like that, at the time of death, Tata Deha Antara Prapti. So when it goes into another body, Antara Prapti, when it obtains another body, it is the continuation of the cycle. Just as it goes through all these phases in this body, at the end, at the time of death, it passes on to the other body and the cycle continues. It's just that it's not visible to us, but it's just simply moving. It goes through the phases in the body, then the body just decays, then it goes to another body, and it goes on to this different cycles. And Dhiraha tatrana muhyati, the wise, Dhiraha means wise, they don't believe at this. And for apparently in Russia also there is a Vedic culture. A lot of my Russian friends tell me. So a lot of the words that you may see, they have similar roots in Russian civilization. So that's what the Vedic culture apparently also spread to Russia. So some of the words you might have familiarity with. Shweta, for example, is white. Sweta, the name in Russia, it means light. White, bright light. Yeah. So there are a lot of things which have very similar roots. So we're looking at the Purusha. There's another beautiful shloka in the Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is chanted with certain meters. Two very common meters that are used in the Bhagavad Gita are the Anushtup meter and the Trishtup meter. The previous one that I chanted is the Anushtup meter. This one is the Trishtup meter. So I will chant it the way it is chanted, and I will tell the meaning. Vasansi jirnani yata vihaya navani grihnati naroparani tata sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani sanyati navani dehi. So what it says is that just as a person casts off worn out clothes and puts on ones that are new, so too does the Dehi, this Purusha, it casts off worn out bodies and enters ones that are new. That is the meaning. Vasansi jirna. Jirnani means one which is worn out. Yata or jirna also means digested. It's just from a new form, it's kind of totally worn. Just as Vihaya means cast off, Avani Grihnati, Naro Aparani Vesa. Person putting on new clothes, then Tata, just like that, the Sharire Vihaya Jirnani. When it is worn out, the Sharira refers to the body, he casts it off and it goes on and it enters a new body. So that is what it talks about Purusha. Now we've been talking Purusha, Purusha, Purusha. What is the meaning of the word Purusha? There are two meanings. One is Vasati iti Purusha. What lives in this nine-gated city? The nine gates are the seven in the head and the two for elimination. So those are the different gates of the body. Two eyes, nostrils, mouth, and the two ears. They make up seven in the face, and then two for elimination. So nine-gated city is the body. So it is that entity which lives in this nine-gated city. Pure, Pura means a city, Pura. So you will see Pur in a lot of Indian city names, Gorakhpur, Rampur, like that. Or it can also mean Sthanam, which is also a city. Pakistan, Afghanistan, all these, they were part of the ancient Vedic civilization at one point. Then it also means Purasya Ishaha. Isha means Lord. So it is the Lord of this place that we call the body. So Isha, or that which resides in this Pura. Two names. So continuing, the Bhagavad Gita, there are lots of, the entire Bhagavad Gita, it talks about various aspects of yoga, which is condensed from the Upanishad. The difference between the Bhagavad Gita and the Yoga Sutra is that the Yoga Sutra is like a scientific treatise. The word sutra has the same root as suture in English. Suture means you wound, you put a thread, stitch it, right? So sutra is a thread on which you have a lot of these gems. So it is a thread linking the entire thing. It's a sequence of flow. Each of this is like a gem on this thread. So it is the thread of this yoga. That is the Yoga Sutra. Then I told you about Purusha. In the Bhagavad Gita, it also, there's beautiful two shlokas which talks about this. Navadvare pure dehi naiva kurpanna karayan na kartrutvam na karmani lokasya srujati prabhu. This embodied one, dehi means embodied one, which is in the body, rests in the Navadvare, nine-gated city, and it doesn't act, nor does it cause the others or the body or the senses to act. It neither agency nor actions does it create for the world. Na kartrutvam na karmani. Karmani is actions. Kartrutvam is creating, instigating others to act. It doesn't do. It just observes. It observes, but because it's gotten all the stuff that from the previous body, it creates vasanas, or this tendency which causes actions in this body. So that is the meaning. Any questions so far? A lot of the times, these concepts can look very strange to us. One way to study the yogic texts, the scriptures. So these scriptures, they were written, there is no, in the Vedas, they don't have names associated with this. They are supposed to be Shruti, which means what was heard or revealed to the sages in their deep meditation. That's why the Vedas don't have any, it doesn't have authorship. Patanjali has a sutra. It's there in my website in the first page. Tatra Dhyanajam Ashrayam. What actions, what comes from a meditative state, they don't have residue of ego and everything. Ashraya, all these desires, they don't have. It's just pure. It comes from this very high state. Even some of the masterpieces, like Mozart's masterpiece, it comes from a state beyond the ordinary consciousness. There's no ego associated, which is why it has a very calming effect on the mind. Because whenever people sense ego and things, petty thoughts, there's a sense of repulsion. But these masterpieces, when because they come from the meditative state, they don't have the petty ego. So naturally, they have tendency to calm the mind. So the Vedas, they are all Shruti. They were revealed to the sages, the yogis, in the deep meditation. And those are condensed by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita and by Patanjali in the Yoga Sutras as these texts. They are called smritis, what is remembered. Smriti is remembered, what is remembered to be from the Shruti. So we've been talking about the mind, right? This entity, this Purusha, Prakriti, and then this entity I drew in the cloud called the mind. The mind, in English, there's one term, mind. There's the physical uh, thing which holds the mind. They say it's the brain. But in the yogic culture, the mind has four parts and is distributed through the body, throughout the body. Your body has a lot of memories. In asana practice, that is what we are tapping onto. By pressing on the thigh, that we are reviving the memories. In fact, we didn't do one pose. The next pose that would have come after Sutta Kurmasana is Garbha Pindasana, where we roll our, we kind of fold the legs, take the hands up, and I told you about sliding, slide this way, and not able to do it, but you go and you touch your cheeks. When you touch your cheeks, what happens is that it evokes certain feelings from childhood. It makes you very calm when your parents, or your relatives, grandmother or grandparents, the children, they touch the cheek right there. It's really cute. When you do this, you are reviving the memories. So it tends to calm you. Okay, so there are four parts to the mind. The first is manas. Manas means memory, feelings, all this. They're distributed throughout the body. You feel the gut feel. You talk about gut feel. It is not just here. You're also feeling the body is a tremendous reservoir of feelings. When, in fact, the difference between the brain and the body is that the body does not lie. The brain, the mind, the brain, that it'll concoct a lot of stories and it'll add colorings and all this. So when you sense with the body a situation, like you are going into a business relationship, you know if this person can be trusted or not. You don't use your brain, you use the body, you sense with the body. This is what asana practice teaches you, is to live in the body. To live in the brain, it is a mess because it adds its own coloring, everything, but the body never lies. That's why people use the body to make decisions. Then, so there's the manas, memory, feelings distributed throughout the body. You feel certain things when you touch, it evokes certain feelings. So that's what we do. So asana practice is not, the final pose is the most irrelevant thing. It's all these things that we learn. That is what is most important. Final pose, it's just like circus. In the other slide deck, I can share it with you, the difference between asana and circus is that in asana practice, so people often ask the question, so what's the difference between asana, advanced asana and circus? They all look the same. So this is like There's an asana like this called Vrishchikasana. So what's the difference? In circus, the final form is important because you have to please the audience. In asana practice, no, it is your mind. Its final form is irrelevant. As long as you don't injure yourself, it's irrelevant. It's the mind that matters. People say, oh, circus, they don't one last breath. No, they, without knowing, they're using the breath to do all these poses, the bandhas. They are doing this. There's absolutely no difference between circus acrobatics and yoga. It's only in the mind. It is the mind attitude that's matter. Okay. Therefore, the body, we saw the feelings distributed through the body. That's important. Then the buddhi, the intellect. It is the this is in the cerebrum, in those areas. It is in the entire yoga goal of yoga. Patanjali says, we uses the term viveka khyati. It's like sharp discrimination, ability to immediately go into the situation and see it's good or not. That is the razor sharp. That's what you're cultivating the intellect with the yoga practice. Then there is the ahankara, which is the ego sense of I. That portion of the brain has a sense of I. That is ahankara. Then all these things, they are absent when you're sleeping. When you're sleeping, there's in dreams, there's ahankara, but in deep sleep, that is gone. Intellect, you're not using your intellect when you're sleeping. And memory and during dreams, yeah, of course, they come, but in deep sleep, that is also not there. Chitta is the one part of the mind that is always on. Chitta, if you can define chitta, is like the movie theater of the mind. The mind constantly, always, if you see, there's some images in the mind, there's sounds produced, some voices, all that. This movie theater is called chitta. And see, next, the silver screen is constantly images, so you're not able to watch inside. There is one person sitting in the movie theater. It's an empty movie theater. All the seats are empty. There's one person that's sitting there. That is the Purusha. And the mind is quiet. All those things have gone away. This beautiful silver screen, you see one reflection. That is the Purusha. So that is this is the chitta. It is like chitta bhavati chittam. It is the closest to the Purusha, but it is not the Purusha. It looks like a Purusha, but it's not the Purusha. It's a link to consciousness. Okay, so it's 10 o'clock, so I'll stop here.